Hi, welcome to Undead Yarn. My name is Heidi, and this is episode 107. How's everybody doing? You can find me as Nitty Girl on Ravelry and on Twitter. You can find me as Undead Yarn on Instagram and on Etsy. I hope everybody's doing well. It's been a while. I've had a really incredibly busy year at work. And I had to make the call not to apply for Dallas-Fort Worth Fiber Festival this year because I foresaw what was going to happen. There's no way I could have had a whole booth full of yarn ready for next week. But I am going to be at Houston Fiber Festival, and I have started a little bit of dyeing for that. I'm planning to try to get some more samples for my booth. Speaking of samples, I do have an FO that I've been working on, and it's using 3 of my yarn colors. One of them is the Down Syndrome Awareness color, and I'm not sure. I was just going to do it for that month, but if I do continue to sell this one in the future, I will still be giving money from $3 from every skein to the National Association of Down Syndrome. And this is the shawl I've been working on. I'm going to be eventually writing it up. It's incredibly simple. It will be free, but I'm finding that I'm enjoying this. This is the same thing I did with the other yarn that I had bought from Flock on Nantucket. And yeah, the colors are looking pretty good. This one I have not named yet. This is the Down Syndrome Awareness, the one that has the speckles, the white with the speckles. The yellow is another color that I have not named yet. This is Down Syndrome Awareness right here. And if you go on Instagram, somebody has already knitted a pair of socks with the Down Syndrome Awareness colorway. And I was able to raise $30 for that, and I sent $30 into the National Association for Down Syndrome. So we'll see. I might continue that because I'm thinking about maybe making kits for this shawl, but we'll see. And I have that in my Loopy Groupie bag. I finally got to be a Loopy Groupie. I bought quite a few skeins of yarn before I got it, so I think they have changed their rules. Anyway, it fits all 3 skeins of yarn and the shawl in here, and I'm surprised. Let me show you. I can show you the other skein. Well, no, I'll show them next time when I've actually named them. And then that's a work in progress. And another work in progress I have is in my Casey's Pockets to Go bag. She's over in Jordan right now. I think she'll eventually be coming back and reopening her business, but she does not have bags for sale right now. Anyway, this is the second sock I'm working on, making some nice long knee socks, and this is with Round Table Yarns, and I believe the colorway is Merlin. Round Table Yarns, she will be at DFW. The colorway is, yes, it's Merlin Self-Stripe. Oh no, it's Fair Both Night and Day. Both Day and Night. Fair Both Day and Night. And I'm working on those. I'm hoping I will finish them this year. That is one of my Finish or Forget projects. I am going to finish it. And you see the bag is from Yellow Rose Fiber Fest, which will be, I believe, at the end of April this year. I think they're trying to spread the festivals apart a little bit so they're not so close together. I do have another work in progress. I have not worked on this since the Hill Country Weavers Retreat, which I will talk about in a little bit. This is using my color Indestructible. This is not showing up as bright as it is. It's not showing up as bright as it is. It's a brighter yellow color than that. But I started working on this shawl. This is a Drea Renee pattern. Drea Renee Knits Andrea Mallory pattern. Oh, what was it called? Golden Dawn, I think. I don't know if you can see. It's a 2-color pattern. I started this just before the Hill Country Weavers Retreat. I'm using this color. And this color has not been named yet. I need to work on my names. But this is Indestructible. I wish you could see it better. It's actually a darker yellow than it's showing up. And it's more gold. It's kind of a gold yellow. And it's actually the same color that is in the cowl that Kino Knits is knitting with my yarn. If you watch my Ravelry group and Instagram feed and Twitter feed, I will probably be posting a coupon code for not only the kit, I'll probably post one coupon code for the kits, or I may just make that one a standard coupon code for a short amount of time, and I will be posting a coupon code for the shop in the next few days. And that is in a bag that's from a run my husband went on called the Haunted Half. It was in this fake town. Well, it's like a made up ghost town that they have a run in every year, and they also have like a haunted house and stuff. That was done around Halloween. But the bag is perfect. It fits 3 skeins of worsted weight yarn in there. And this shawl is knit with worsted weight yarn. I wish the color was showing up better. I used to have another light in here, but I don't have it right now. But if you want to see what the color looks like, you can go on my Instagram feed. It's and the picture of the cowl that Kino Knits has designed with it is on my feed. So that's another work in progress. There's one I'm planning, and it's one that I got from... I have not started yet, and it'll probably be a little while before I start it, but I bought the latest issue of Pom Pom at the Hill Country Weavers Retreat. There might even be another one after this one now. I don't think so yet, but this is the spring issue. And my friend who is Ragline Knits, has designed this pattern with another lady. The two of them are Ragline Knits together. And my friend is Kate Madden. She lives in Austin, and the other person is Lisa Laird, and they use Neighborhood Fiber Company Rustic Fingering for this. And I'm probably going to use some of the colors I got at the retreat. It came in my retreat bag, the Hill Country Weavers Retreat. This is a bag that Yarn Carnival gave us in our bag. And then I got 2 skeins of yarn. One I wound right away. This one, and then there's this one, and these are both from Chasing Rabbits Fiber Co. And it's a singles yarn, and I believe the yarn that they used for the hats was a singles yarn too. This is called, what's the colorway? This is Debonair. I don't remember what this one is. I'll see if I have the tag in here. But these colors were actually part of the kit for a new shawl by Drea Renee, who was at the retreat. And here's the other color. The other colorway is called Moonlight, and those are both on her solo base, Chasing Rabbits Fiber. And she actually used that yarn, Drea Renee used that yarn to design a new shawl pattern that she put out right after the retreat was over. Oh, I meant to bring down the other book that I bought. Well, I'll talk about it a little bit, and maybe I'll show it in the next podcast. Okay, so those are my works in progress. And I have one FO, which was a work in progress until just recently I finished it. I started this actually at the Hill Country Weavers Retreat. These are worsted weight socks, and there's been a lot of talk, or I've been listening to a lot of podcasts that talk about using non-superwash yarn. You know, when I was growing up, all my sweaters that my mom bought me that were wool, they were not superwash. I had to wash them by hand, and we did not, you know, you would wear a t-shirt under most of them. So, it didn't have to be a superwash yarn. And actually my worsted weight yarn that I showed you, the one that's the cowl was knit out of and that I'm knitting the, I think it's Honey Dawn. honey dawn shawl. That's a worsted weight yarn that's not superwash, and I actually prefer that for sweaters. I think that's a nice yarn to use. I don't see why you need to have superwash. Superwash stretches. I like it, and I do have superwash things that I've made, but I don't necessarily think you have to use superwash. And I found this yarn at the Hill Country Weavers Retreat, and it's the same company that Kate Ragline Knits used for her hat, but I bought the worsted weight version, and it's called Cumbria. And the reason I bought it is it was an interesting mix of yarns. It's brown Massam wool, merino, and mohair. And I've heard mohair is really good to use in place of nylon, so I use this yarn in these socks, and I'm going to make another pair with this color. You can tell I totally bought my colors. I love gold. This is like a goldish color. This one is called Cat Bells. I don't know what that means. I don't know if that's a flower. I don't remember what the colorway for this one was, but I'm sure you can find it if you look on my Ravelry page, because I have posted my finished objects. And of course, Danny made these wonderful sock blockers. They're actually my favorite sock blockers. She makes a really nice sock blocker. And she sent me a yarn bowl to use, but it's for minis, and I have not used a mini project yet, so I will let you guys know about that. She actually 3D printed some mini bowls that are for mini skeins, so I have to test that out, but I haven't done it yet. So those are the things I've been working on. I did go to the Hill Country Weavers Retreat several weeks ago, and then last weekend I went on a retreat too. It was more of a quilting retreat, and there weren't any plans, but it's set up so that you each get 2 tables, and we basically, the knitters, we just sat and knit. You can spread all your stuff out. It's for crafters in general. They had people who were quilting, people who were scrapbooking, people who were painting, although I don't recommend bringing painting with you. I think she just was making small watercolors. You have to be careful about paint around quilts and yarn. You don't really want paint on that. But anyway, they provided all the meals, so that was great. We had a place to sleep. Everybody had they had a nice shower, several different bathrooms. You shared a bathroom, but you only shared it with a few people. And so I got a lot of knitting done at that retreat. I actually almost finished my socks. I did the socks that I finished all the way up to the Kitchener, and then I did that when I got home. So when I went to the Hill Country Weavers Retreat, I bought the Pom Pom magazine, and I bought that yarn, Cumbria yarn that I showed you. I also wanted to show you the bag, because we always get a nice bag. It's a nice canvas bag. You can wear it like a backpack if you want. And here's the pin that they gave us. I'm not going to show everything I got, but I will show you a couple of things. This was kind of cool. Like, they gave us these tags. I use things like this on my samples for when I go to shows. I'll put a tag on there that says the name of the pattern and the yarn that I used for it. So that's going to be handy for me. And then, what else did I get? Oh, I didn't mention that this bag that the Loopy U gave me is a Della Q bag. This is my first Della Q bag. I'll have to see how that holds up. Another thing I got at the retreat was I got some yarn. I just kept looking at this. So I was like, you don't have this blend. So, and it's farm yarn. So basically I did buy it because I think it's just lovely and shiny. I'm not sure what I'm going to do. Maybe mittens. I think mittens would be really nice with this. This is farm yarn from Independence Wool. There's only 2 mills in Texas. One of them is Mason Bin, and they're in South Texas. And I got some yarn from them at the Kid and You Festival. And this is the other mill. This is Independence Wool. And this is a mix of, this is 100% kid mohair. And look at those colors together. Are those not my colors? They are the brown and the green and the gold. Those are my fall colors. And I think they're beautiful. I'm not sure if I will use them together. I'm guessing I might just be able to get one skein and make some mittens out of one skein. But maybe they all need to be mittens. Maybe I need 3 pairs. Or maybe I need to give some as gifts. That would actually be a really nice gift because this is actually, it's really soft. It doesn't feel rough at all. And it's got a nice halo. So I got 3 colors. Let's see. This one is Balcones, the green one, which is probably after the Balcones Canyonland. I think they're all named after Texas things. This one, I don't see the name on it. The gold one, I don't see the name. The brown one is Palo Duro, like Palo Duro Canyon. So it is brown, but it has little specks of different colors in it too. So those are just gorgeous. I'm looking forward to working with them. I like holding them. They feel so nice. And they're nice and shiny. So that's some of the stuff that I got at the retreat. I took my first class at DFW. Oh, there were people, all the people from not all the people, but several people from Pom Pom Magazine were there. Megan Fernandez, who is one of the designers, and I believe she also is one of the editors. Yes, and also another person who works at Pom Pom was there. Her name is, her Ravelry name is, what is it? Juju Vale. I don't see her name in here, but I don't know if that's her actual name. Her name is probably something else, but she's also, she and Megan are the ones who founded Pom Pom, and they were both there, and they both taught classes during the time we were there. Oh, and also I wanted to mention that Ragline Knits, the lady who did the hat pattern in Pom Pom, she has a retreat. One of them is in Marfa, Texas, and one is up in Vermont. She and her friend who did that pattern, they have retreats for yarn and yoga. So some of my friends went to the retreat in Marfa and they had a good time. I guess you do, basically you hang out and you get good food and you do yoga and you get to, I think they had maybe a few people that were there, like one person had bags and one person had yarn. But if you're into yoga and you like to knit, that might be something interesting for you. Some of us who are in Texas, Marfa's closer. Some of us who live up north, Vermont would be closer. And I think the Vermont retreat is in October. I could be wrong, but I believe it's in the fall sometime. So the other person who was there teaching, one of the other people, she taught sequence knitting. And I wish I could remember her name off the top of my head because I did buy her book. And here's one of the sequence knits that I did. This has 2 different yarns in it. And I'm not sure if you can see the pattern. Oh yes, we noticed that a lot of the patterns you can't see them until you pull back. So she has this way of knitting and she's done a whole, how come I can't figure it out? She's done a whole book on different sequence patterns of knitting. And they make patterns actually when you knit them, and they're simple repeats. I think most of them are 1-row repeats, and there's different ways that you do them. And this one was the serpentine method, but there's other ones that are just the plain Jane 1-row pattern. And it's a really thick book because she's done a lot of research and swatches for this, and she also has patterns in it. And I did buy the book because I really kind of like it. It's not difficult knitting. It's mindful. You do have to pay attention, but it's not as challenging as lace knitting because you're basically knitting the same pattern over and over, but there are different ways that you do it, and that's how you come up with the different patterns. This I used 2 colors on, and you can't really tell. That's what's kind of cool about this. You can't tell that I used 2 colors on this. So she had some swatches that she did. Some had gradients, some had 1 color, or some had more than 1 color. The variegateds often lost the pattern. This one, I think you can kind of still see it. I mean, I can see where it is. But often the solids or the colors that were really solid, with just a little bit of speckling in it, showed off the patterns the best. The gradients were pretty good too, because they're usually just 1 color at a time. So I bought that book because I really enjoyed it. I want to say her name is Gail. I'm surprised I didn't write her name down. And I meant to bring the book. The book I have is upstairs. It's a big, thick book. but I am looking forward to experimenting with those patterns. And then, of course, I took a class from Andrea Mowry. She's so cute. And she was really a nice lady, too. And let me see if I can find... I brought the swatch down because I wanted to show y'all what I did in her class. We used worsted weight yarn, and I signed up to knit the honey... I want to say honey. I don't know if this one is honey. Hold on, let me go grab it. We also got a bunch of patterns in our Hill Country Weavers Retreat thing, and one of them was her new pattern that she had done with Chasing Rabbit's fiber yarn. And I'm trying to find the pattern. If you look on her patterns, you'll see which one it is. It's the one that has a lot of little cables. And I meant, this is a peach color, and these light colors are not showing up. Usually the dark colors don't show up well, but this one is not showing up. It's peach. And you make little cables all along both sides. There's a small pattern and a large pattern. There's two patterns in here. One of them uses obviously more yarn. So I started the swatch. I decided just to do the small swatch because I don't have enough of this color at this time to do a whole shawl with it, but I wanted to try the pattern out, and it was nice. She showed us how to cable without a cable needle, and she also showed us a different cast on for the garter tab, which I thought was brilliant. I'm going to use that. So I really think this class was worth it for me because I often avoid cables because I just don't like dealing with that needle. And the nice thing about this one is it's the same cable. It's not different cables all over. It's the same cable. Now the bigger one has, where's the spine? In the middle, this one just has a line down the middle, like your normal center. But the bigger one has cables in the middle. So I'm not sure if those are different. They might be. But it's really just 1/1 cable and 2/2 cable. Actually, two different cables, but it's the same pattern. And I was very excited to take that class and do this. I would love to do this pattern eventually. And I have to figure out what color I want to do it in. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that in my yarn or if I'm going to do it in another person's yarn. I haven't quite decided that yet. My little one is down here whining. Here, let me show you. Here's Mr. Man again. He just got his nails trimmed yesterday. Show them your nails. I don't know why. He's the older he gets, the more he just wants somebody to hold him. I think because he really can't see anything anymore and his hearing is going. I noticed that he can't really locate where the sound is coming from. When I go out and call him, sometimes he doesn't respond, and then other times he turns his head, but he starts walking the wrong direction. And so I'm trying using louder noises to get him back, but sometimes I have to actually go out into the yard and get him and pick him up because he cannot figure out where I am. Poor thing. You're going to go back down now because I need my arms. His name's Pogo. I know I've shown him before. I don't know where Bella is. She disappeared. I think she doesn't like sharing the room with him. They don't like to be in the same... Well, Pogo would love to be her friend, but she does not want to be his friend. I don't know what... I've tried everything. She just does not want to share. Okay, so moving on. The retreat was amazing, of course, and they have announced that next year it will be at a different place. It will be the Lake Ray Resort, and there are 4 teachers, one of which is Romy Hill, and one is Caitlin Hunter, and then there's one that the lady is big into brioche. I think she's from somewhere in Texas, but she did the Sizzle Pop shawl. And the other person, I can't remember her name off the top of my head. I want to say it's Julie something, but I do not remember her name because I was not familiar with her patterns, but she is apparently pretty prolific. She has quite a following on Instagram. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm not sure how it's going to be set up. It might be different from the way the last few years have been. And I wanted to mention that this shirt This was part of my $30 donation to the Austin Animal Center over here, Austin Animal Center, and it's the new name for the previous Town Lake Center in Austin where we got Chumley. Thank you to you all who have bought his yarn, and I can't remember if I have shown that shawl. I finished it. When I block it, I will show it again on Instagram, and I'll try to remember to show it on the next podcast. Since I've been so busy at work and I have not gone back and watched my podcast or reread my show notes, I'm not sure what I showed last time. But yes, I did finish that. That was a test knit, and I did finish that shawl, and I had used the Chumley yarn, and I used Pale Man, and I used Graveyard. I used all three of those in that shawl, and I really am happy with the way it came out. It will probably be a sample at Houston Fiber Fest, which is what I am starting to think about now, because that's coming up in June. At the end of June, I will be at Houston Fiber Fest vending, and I would like to vend more, but during the school year, I don't know if it's going to be possible, because I'm suspecting that because of the way this school year was, we're going back to our trend of having too many kids and too many things to do and not enough time. And I don't think that's going to end anytime soon. I've been in the district for 21 years, and we go through these ups and downs where we have too many kids, we have too few kids, we have too many kids, we have too few kids, we have too many referrals, we have no referrals. Right now we're in the too many of everything, so I suspect next year we'll be just as busy, which makes me kind of sad, because I miss being able to podcast, but I really do miss dying a lot. I see all these things on Instagram, and I'm like, oh, I wish I had done that. Or I'm like, oh, I was thinking about doing that, but somebody else has already done it. Or, I don't know, I've just been kind of sad I haven't been able to do it this year, but you do what you can. I did want to mention that I did pull a winner for the Finish or Frog It for this month, or for last month, and the winner was, it's not Yarn Junkie, but it's YRNJNKY, and that is Elizabeth from Algiers. I'm not sure where that is. It said United States, but I don't know where. Maybe it's not United States. I think it had a U.S. flag next to it, but anyway, please PM me with your address so I can send you the skein of Sunset Stitches. This is a self-striping yarn, and it is 460 yards, and it's a 75-25 superwash merino and nylon. And I did want to mention, I have been really awful about mentioning other podcasts lately, because I'm just feeling overwhelmed this year. There are other things, personal things going on that I can't talk about right now, but yeah, I've got all kinds of stuff going on that I have to think about and take care of this year, so it's been a hectic year. But I did want to mention, I started watching a new one, and I've mentioned it on Ravelry, but not on the YouTube channel, that I started watching Diary of a Physicist Farm Gal, and she is from, I believe, Kansas. Maybe it's Arkansas. She's from one of the states that's right above Texas. And she had gone to the East Texas Fiber Festival and met some of my friends. And she also is friends with Laura of Crocheting Hoovian, who you know I watch her podcast. And so I started watching her she calls herself Doc Firewoman, the lady who does Diary of a Physicist Farm Gal, and right now I'm blanking on her name because I'm blanking on everything right now. But please go watch her. Her stuff, her podcast is so much fun. She owns a farm. She is a physicist. She teaches physics. She teaches astronomy classes. She's really interesting. She talks about her animals. She talks about physics. She talks about knitting. She talks about a little bit of everything, and she also does some other crafts too. So I feel like every time I watch her podcast, I learn something new, and she's a real sweet lady. She's very interesting and very smart, and I would highly recommend going to watch her. And the other one, of course, you have to watch Pen, Hook, and Needles, because those are my ladies. and I think they're getting ready for their next autism awareness knit along. And I believe Marlicia has a colorway for this year that she's putting out, and she will be donating. I believe, I can't say for sure. Usually whoever is making the colorway will donate money to a cause for autism. But you need to go and check out the rules and such on her podcast. And I also know that they are running a Tea and Tails. I think it's for the whole year, Tea and Tails along. And if you knit things that have to do with tea or tails, and also if you knit one of Talia's patterns, or I think Crocheting Hoovian's patterns, and she's starting to put out some patterns. I showed you her cowl, but she's got other patterns too, so go check her out. And they are doing that along with the Yarn and I, who is Cappy, and Cappy has put kits together and she's made her own pattern. And her pattern uses what we're all really interested right now, knitting with merino and then with mohair. She has a pattern that uses both together, and I believe she's made some kits. And if you go listen to Marlicia and Talia Pinhook and Needles podcast, you can get a discount on the kits. And like I said, I will be running a sale later on this week, maybe tomorrow, starting tomorrow. I have to get my stuff together and do my taxes. I have not done my business taxes yet. I need to get better about that, and I say it every year, and every year this is what happens. I end up like scrambling, having to do it all weekend. So that's why I'm putting the podcast out now. I really hope that I have not forgotten anything. I did contact the FO thread winner, and I sent her a pattern. If you post one of your finished objects in Undead Yarn in my group, there's a thread for the FO thread. You can be entered to win a $7 or less pattern. Don't forget about that. Don't forget about the Finish and Frog It, which I said Yarn Junkie has won this skein of yarn. I give away a prize every month, and sometimes I throw other little goodies in too, because I have a lot of things and I don't need to keep everything that I have. So anyway, and don't forget to go check out the shop. I still have the Chumley yarn for sale, so as long as people order it, I will be donating to an animal shelter. I believe the next one I'm thinking about donating to We Rescue, because that's where I got Bella, and donating to a Mansa Pet, because that's where I got Pogo. So if I do have any more sales of that yarn, I will keep it up for pre-order, and I will be sending it to other Austin animal shelters. And I will think on the Down syndrome awareness colorway. If I do post it again, I will continue to donate money to National Association for Down Syndrome. And I believe at this time that's all I have. I am going to put out another 80s colorway. Killer in the Home has sold several so far, which is wonderful. I even actually got somebody from the Adam Ant group interested in the yarn, although the other people in the group were kind of like, what is this? What? Yarn? Why are you posting yarn? Anyway, watch this space. I've got several ideas for people that I want to do colorways for, or groups from the 80s that I want to do colorways for. And I already have a couple of them in my mind that I have not had a chance to sit down and do. And next week is Dallas Fort Worth Fiber Festival. I will be there probably Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And I hope to see some of you guys there, and good luck to those of y'all that are vending. And I am very excited to I'm signed up for 2 classes. One of them is a broomstick lace class. I really like the way broomstick lace works, and I took a class with it, and I never used it, but I'm seeing a lot of patterns lately that I really like, and I would like to do a little bit beyond what I've already learned. And then the other class I'm taking is with Franklin Habit, and I've always wanted to take his history of lace knitting. You guys know every time he comes I try to take something from him. So I'm looking forward to taking the history of lace knitting, because I love lace knitting. I wish I had more time to sit down and actually do a lot of lace knitting. I just don't have the focus right now. So y'all, cross your fingers for me that this summer I can get some lace knitting done. Anyway, I think I have everything. I hope I didn't forget anybody. I love y'all. I'm glad that I finally got a chance to podcast. And with that, I'm going to say get busy knitting or get busy dying.